as I talked with Chris earlier, it's better than waiting in a hallway, I guess. So.
It is.
Yes, this is true.
I miss the stories we used to hear in the hallway.
Yeah, that part's a little sad. We don't get to, harass each other.
Well, there's one element missing to the fun in the hallway. So.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't know what you mean. What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. I don't know.
Well, we're not in the hall. What are you talking about?
I don't know what you mean. I mean, but I can tell you this, that I talked to 7 people in 8 mid-level conferences in Division III, and they all told me that the Raiders are going to be pretty good this year.
Matt, I love your expression.
Oh, boy.
See, Ben doesn't know what we're talking about. He's just he doesn't have any idea who we're talking about.
Ben should be lucky he doesn't know who we're talking about.
Ben knows exactly who we're talking about. Anyway.
Just moderating and waiting for Matt Allen to join our call. Followed by Xavier Henderson. Should be calling in.
I got to ask, Comp, what is that? What is that background you had? Was that
secret?
Oh, come on!
It's a green screen.
All right.
You have a green screen? That is amazing, sort of. It's like I look at it, it's like, oh, he's in like the basement level or the ground level of one of those new apartment complexes, just kind of in a communal area.
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles. It's still daylight here.
There you go.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. No, it's I've got kids upstairs doing stuff, so you don't want to see what's behind here. So if they weren't up there, I'd go up there and I wouldn't use this. So it's one of those things.
Economy is all real.
All right. Well, we have Matt Allen now, so we.
Ben, can you set me up to record? I don't know if you did or not. I apologize.
Yeah, you should be good to go. So, all right. Well, thank you, Matt, for joining us after practice. We'll do what we always do. We'll take questions in the chat and go from there. We'll start with Matt Wenzel with MLive.
Hey, Matt, we spoke with Scotty Hazelton earlier, and I know obviously different side of the ball, but first padded practice yesterday, he had said, if you guys had tried to pull that off a month ago, it would have been very difficult just based on the strength and conditioning, get guys in shape. He said guys were gassed. I was wondering what your take was on first padded practice fifth year around here.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. There's obviously going to be like ups and downs with every practice, and it's never as good as you think, and it's never as bad as you think. But I think overall we had a solid day. I mean, we still have a lot to improve on, but luckily we still have the rest of this month just to get ready to keep working and keep improving to be the best that we can be come October 24th.
And just to follow up with you, obviously being a fifth-year guy, both your brothers came through here. You know the drill. A couple of injuries last couple of years have kind of impeded progress a little bit, I guess. What do you see as the growth from when you got here to now, and what your outlook is on the season being a senior fifth-year guy and leader on that line?
Yeah, I mean, it goes quick, but I've definitely had some really good previous people here before me to show me the way and show me how to do things the right way, like Brian, and then my brother Jack, obviously, and then there's other guys like Cole Chewins and Tyler Higbee and guys that were here before that showed me how to do things the right way and how certain guys react. And I'm just trying to focus. Whenever I can help somebody out, I just try and help them out to better them and to help better the team. Everybody on the team knows whenever I'm coming up to them and giving them tips or something like that, it's not to insult them. It's to help make the team better and help get us moving forward. So I'm really just doing whatever I can and just making sure everybody's in the right place at the right time. So,
thank you.
Next question is from Casey Campbell.
Thanks, Ben. Hey, Matt, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. We've been first few weeks of practice overall. What differences are you seeing with this team this year?
I think there's a lot of differences, but I mean, there's the biggest thing I think that we have that's a positive is there's a want to from everybody. Everybody wants to be good, and everybody wants to do the best that they can do. And we've been coming out every day, working as hard as we possibly can to be ready for the season when it comes around. And I know guys are getting hyped up and getting ready for practice, and everybody's just staying locked in and making sure they're doing their job and doing the task at hand for that play and doing what needs to get done.
I feel like this, there's a lot of people that are saying that, when Coach Tucker was hired in, right when a few weeks after COVID hit, do you feel like many people are saying that this team's at a disadvantage within the Big Ten? Why isn't it you guys?
I would say it's not a disadvantage just because this is something that everybody had to go through. And I mean, obviously, like Coach Tucker's in his first year here, except with COVID and the things that have happened, we've got to look at the playbook way more than we ever would have gotten to if everything was run normally. So, I mean, COVID was definitely a blessing in disguise for us just because we could get ahead of the curve on like the offense and learning what to do and making sure everybody's in the right place at the right time, kind of like I was saying. But it's really just been really good so far, honestly. I think that everybody's headed in the right direction, and Coach Tucker's going to do everything he can to get us ready to go. So I'm excited.
Thank you.
Next question is from Chris Solar, the Detroit Free Press.
Good to see you. Coach Hazelton today talked a little bit about the offensive side of the ball and talked about how physical you guys are in giving the defensive line looks. First of all, what does that mean to you guys as a unit? How much of that's basically having so many guys back? And then what are your impressions of the other side of the ball right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely confident in the guys across the ball. There's a lot of guys that are stepping up and doing their parts and what they have to do. And, hearing that from Coach Hazelton, that's just a positive for us. I mean, my dad always told me, like, whenever you get a compliment, take it with a grain of salt. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. And I mean, thank you for the compliment, but I know there's still a ton of things that we need to work on and get better at. But I think we've definitely improved as an offense and definitely as an offensive line. So I'm excited for the season.
As a follow-up to that, can you guys as a unit right now sense being a little closer to full health and the impact that that's having on your play?
Yeah, I could say definitely. I think everybody's ready to go, and they've been really smart with just like stretching before practice, stretching after practice, and then like when we're lifting, we're stretching before and then stretching after, and they're just doing a lot of smart things to try and help keep us all on the field, because I know that before they got here, that was like kind of a little bit of a problem that we had. So just being able to have them come in and do what they need to do and get us in the right spot has been extremely helpful, and I think it's going to help us be ready for the 24th.
Next question is from Jamal Spencer with WZZM.
Matt, you mentioned the health just now. That was my question as an offensive lineman. How do you balance the entire offensive line trying to be multi-positional with trying to develop a chemistry with the guy next to you?
Yeah, I mean, that's just like time, really. I mean, just us being able to be over here for the entire summer and a little bit before the summer too, just working with guys day in and day out. That's how you kind of build that like chemistry and camaraderie as an offensive line and as a unit. I think if you kind of just like ran out there and it's your first time double teaming with a guy, it's going to feel a little awkward. But if you drill something 100 times or 1,000 times, it's going to feel a lot better the more you do it. So really just staying consistent with drills and staying on top of just everybody being together, doing the things that they need to do so we can stay on top of what Coach Cap wants us to do.
Gotcha. And then just to follow up, if I may, you also talked about the physicality of the line. How long, in your opinion, does it take for an offensive lineman to develop maybe a callus on his body, get reacclimated to the physicality of the position, because it's taken you guys a long time to get to this point of full contact practices?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely been good. Just like what we've been doing has been real solid, and just in the past couple days it has been real physical, but I think it's also been like a very good physical, just like reacclimating back to like where we need to be for the season this year. And I think that as a unit, we're a lot more physical and we're getting a lot more movement off the ball, which is good to see.
Thank you.
This question is from Lindsey Huddleston.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for your time. You talk about being a senior, and there's certain things you almost expect to teach incoming players or expect them to come to you for. What's been an example of something that hasn't changed, but what's something new that you're having to deal with now based on COVID?
I would say something that hasn't changed is just like the way that like defensive schemes work. So like whenever somebody's like blitzing or going somewhere, there's always somebody else coming to replace that gap that a defensive lineman just looped out of. So if it's like we're running like inside zone and there's like a blitz coming off the backside edge, I know that since there's a blitz coming off the backside edge, that nose that's on my left is going to try and cross my face. So me just knowing that if he's coming off the edge, this nose is looping across to my next gap, I know that I could take a step and then press vertical through that nose so I can stay on my track and work with that guard so there's no penetration and we can still get up to that backside backer. And then something that's definitely changed with COVID, I would just say like the conditioning aspect of things. I mean, we're definitely working as hard as we possibly can, and Coach Tucker talked about how we're going to be relentless, and we're going to be relentless. I can really see it, and the way we're practicing right now is difficult, but what Coach Cap keeps preaching is just that it's going to pay off and come fall, come season time, like we're going to be ready to go, and the games are going to be easy. You're not going to be tired. You're going to be ready to go, and we're going to finish in the fourth quarter.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Next question is from Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for doing this, man. I want to ask you just how would you sort of describe the level of competition amongst the offensive line right now? I mean, normally we would have seen maybe a couple practices and spring ball and the spring game and all that. We would sort of have an idea, but I don't think we're going to see you guys, obviously, until Rutgers. So, like, you know, is it kind of the same 5 guys every day, or are there a couple guys in the same spots and 2 or 3 spots seem like they're sort of up for grabs? Could you just sort of give us a sense of the competition and where guys are right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good competition all around the board. I think that Coach Cap's really good at just like getting the best out of everybody, and everybody on the offensive line. I know as a unit, we've definitely improved as a whole, and we're all getting ready to go this fall. And I know that I'm ready to go, and the guys next to me are going to be ready to go as well. And we're just working as hard as we can to get there. But competition-wise, definitely everybody's definitely improved, and it feels like everybody's either biting on my heels or almost about to take my spot. So it's a good thing just because it helps me continue to work as if I'm a freshman and it's my first year in here, because I know that I have to earn that spot. It's not just given to me because I've been here before. So just being able to have guys like that behind me, it's honestly a pretty big blessing just because it makes me work harder personally.
At this point, is it fair to say you're still doing a lot of mixing and matching then, just because you are kind of early? And I guess would you expect to settle down sort of into first string, second string as you go through, or that's still sort of being decided, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's still sort of just being decided. I think that we still have a month until the season starts, and especially with like COVID and things like that now, like we're just really focusing on depth just so if somebody does go down or something does happen, next man up's going to be ready to go and be ready to fill that spot like that. So.
Sure. Thanks, Matt.
Next question is from Jim Comparoni with Spartan Magazine.
Thanks a lot, Ben. Sorry about that. I lost track of the batting order. Matt, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. You mentioned that the offensive line has improved. You touched upon that a little bit. Could you expand a little bit more on what ways you feel the offensive line has improved?
Yeah, I think that Coach Cap has done a really good job of just stressing vertical movement. And that's one thing I think that going back and watching the tape from last year, me personally, I didn't do well enough is just getting like guys off the ball, because I would always like get in the correct position laterally, except then that guy would be in the same spot just 2 yards down the line. And so just being just as an offensive line and as a unit, being able to take the whole D-line vertical, even if there's not a hole open, the running back can still fall and it'd be a 4-yard gain because of that line of scrimmage getting moved off the ball like that. And I mean, the defensive line's doing a good job of disrupting that as well. And I think we're just improving on it and seeing it more and more every day of just us getting good vertical movement.
All right, you got a little bit of a taste of Coach Kapilovic in the spring and Zoom meetings throughout the summer and so forth, and even into the few days in August and in the spider pads or without pads. Now you've gotten in the trenches with him 2 days in pads. Have you learned any more about him in those 2 days, and what have those 2 days been like? Has it been more the same or even amplified? What's that been like?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been amplified. He's a great coach, and I'm happy that he's here, and I'm happy that he's in our room with us. And he's just honestly a great coach, and I've seen a ton of improvement out of myself just like through this camp and before, when the season before got like postponed. I definitely saw improvement there too. But the thing that he does best that I think personally is he tells us the truth right away, where like if we do something bad, he's going to let us know what we did and why we did it, just so that it's not like a punishment, but it's just so that we're all on the right page and we're all going on the right track to get us in the spot that we want to be in December. And another thing he does really well is demands our best from us every day. I think that there have been like today, it's the second day of pads, and I know guys are sore and they're tired, except that doesn't mean anything. Nobody's going to feel bad for us come the 24th. So we got to be ready to go. And Coach Cap's just really good at demanding our best every day. And I think that's helped us improve a ton as well.
Thank you.
Next question is from Audrey Dahlgren with WLNS.
Matt, thanks. Number one, I wanted to ask, Scotty, Coach Hazelton was saying that you guys were pretty gassed yesterday after the first practice. What was your assessment of, I guess, how tired you guys were after yesterday?
Yeah, I was definitely tired. I just like the practice as a whole, it's almost like a game where like before, like we'd get in the game one and I'd kind of be like huffing and puffing a little bit, and now it's like I'm huffing and puffing the same way that I would have been week one last year. So I think it's a big improvement, and Coach Tucker keeps stressing that, like, if we keep pushing and keep doing what we can, like, it's going to pay off and the games are going to feel easy. And I can already tell that that is what it's going to feel like, so I'm excited.
And then just too with Jalen Hunt, he was another guy, a player that I should say that he kept bringing up a lot today, thinking that, he's going to make some plays for you guys. He's going to be really good. What do you see from him when you're on the other side, looking over? How is he going to, play well for you? What is he going to provide or bring?
He plays really well. I mean, one thing that he does really well is his get off the ball. It's almost like as soon as I snap, he's moving, where it's like almost simultaneously. And he has a really good get off, and he's like freaky athletic, where he's kind of like a chunkier guy like me, but he definitely can like make plays, and like he'll like run down the running back, and you're like, that was a defensive tackle that just did that. And that's just another force and another guy that offenses are going to have to worry about come season. So I'm excited for him. He's been working hard, and he's definitely going to be a good player for us in the near future.
Thank you.
See, Xavier's joined us, so we have time for one more. We'll go back to Chris for the last question for Matt.
Coach was talking that on his radio show that he wants to try and get 2 scrimmages in before you guys play that first game. One, how feasible is that? And 2, what things in particular do you need to do to get prepared maybe for that first scrimmage? How quickly do you think you guys can be ready for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are ready, honestly. We've been in spiders like the past 2 weeks, and then just got in the shells this week, but we've definitely been going, and like we've been exhausted isn't the right word, but we're pretty tired after the practices, and I know that like with how hard we've been working, they're going to pay off, and I'm excited to see how the first scrimmage goes, just to see how in shape we are, how we're going to react as a unit, and how we're going to react as an offense. And really, I'm just excited to see what happens, but I think it's going to be a good scrimmage and a good start. So we need a little bit of that hitting to help us get acclimated back to where we want to be, just so we'll be ready to go for the season.
All right, well, that's all the questions for Matt. Matt, I really appreciate you joining us after practice tonight. Have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you, guys. So thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Next
Matt.
up, we have Xavier Henderson, junior safety, and we'll start with questions from Matt Charbonneau of the Detroit News.
Hey, Xavier, thanks for doing this. It's kind of funny. It seems like it wasn't that long ago you were the freshman or the young guy kind of coming in and getting your feet wet early, and here you are now, the veteran presence in that secondary. I'm just wondering, how much does that hit you that you've already gotten to that point, and how important is it that you have a veteran back there, that even though you have a new staff, you still have that experience of playing to help some of the other guys kind of come along?
No, definitely. I definitely felt like, I mean, shoot, I came in early, so I've been here for a while, I feel like, but I also feel like it's gone by so fast. And having a guy like that, especially with the new coaches, is definitely important. And I felt like I was that guy that, especially from playing last year, having the experience from playing last year, and kind of taking in from all the older guys I played with, like Dave Dow and Kari Willis, who's doing great in the league right now. It's been good to see their leadership and kind of get a feel for how you're supposed to lead a team. And that's something I want to do this year for sure.
And what's that competition been like back there? I know, at corner and safety both, there's a lot of competition for some starting spots. What are you seeing from guys, some of your teammates, maybe young guys who haven't played a lot? What have you seen back there from them so far?
It's been real good. And I think the competition is even more now because of the youthfulness we have on our team, and some of the guys who haven't got that many snaps in game. Some of the dudes I really like are Angelo Gross, who came in early. He's been looking real good to me. We got plenty of guys. We got guys that can play all over the field, and I think we have some depth for sure. And that comes with the competitiveness we've been seeing in practice and been just working our tails off.
Next question is from Matt Wenzel with I'm Live.
Hey, Xavier, you mentioned the guys you came in playing behind, what you learned from Kari and David Dell. But I was wondering, I think it was Mike Trustle who said that he thought he could see the kind of the lights turn on for you last season, maybe the second half. Being that you did play all 13 games as a true freshman, but taking over that starting role, what do you think you really learned through that experience last year? And did you see the same thing he did with maybe the game slowing down and just knowing it a little bit better the second half?
Definitely. I felt at the beginning of the season, you know what I mean, we had our non-conference schedule, and I went through those games and felt good, but then we got to the Big Ten schedule and it's a totally different animal, you know what I mean? And just playing that competition and getting the feel for playing teams like Wisconsin and Ohio State, it was crazy and great competition. So I think definitely after those games, and I started to pick it up a little bit more and get a little bit more confidence in myself and the team, really. And towards the end of the season, I felt like I was clicking for sure. And I felt like it was our secondary and my secondary to take control of and to kind of lead these guys, you know what I mean, especially coming in this year with some new coaching staff.
And just a quick follow-up. What was your take on the first padded practice yesterday, being that it was, December in New York, the last time you guys were able to do that?
It was real fun. And I haven't gone that long without hitting somebody since high school, you know what I mean? So it was fun. Surprisingly, my body doesn't feel that bad, but we got after it for sure. And we're just so grateful to be able to play football, you know what I mean, at this time. And that's something we can't take advantage of because a couple of weeks ago we thought we weren't going to. So it's fun now, and we're getting out there. We're getting after it.
Thanks, Xavier.
Yes, sir.
This question is from Casey Campbell.
Thanks, Ben. Xavier, how are you?
I'm doing good. Just like I said, grateful to be out on that field.
Yeah. So, did you honestly think that you were going to have a season?
No, I didn't think we were going to have a season, honestly, but we were preparing like we would, and so that was a good thing. So they told us we weren't going to have one, and then, but I mean, shoot, I'll take that back. I thought we might. It was a this and that, and we were preparing like we were going to have a season. So I don't know. It was so long ago, and now I'm so focused on the season, I can't remember what I was thinking a month ago. You know what I mean? It's just been a crazy situation.
Yeah, you never know. Also, biggest improvement you've seen with the secondary overall?
I would say our communication from last year. I think losing Kari was a big loss for us, and he did so much, not just for the secondary, but for the defense. I think our communication now is a strength. We always say a loud defense is a good defense. And we got guys talking all over the field, and that means they're confident in what they're doing. So I think the communication is a big part.
Thanks, Xavier.
Yes, sir.
Next question is from Chris Solari, the Detroit Free Press.
Good to see you, Xavier. One of the things that you mentioned about Coach Tressel last year, obviously having him as a defensive coordinator, now he's your position coach. How much between him and Coach Barnett, who I would imagine was big in your recruitment, how much is that familiarity helping the terminology and transition for you guys back there?
Yeah, it's been real good. And Coach Barnett, well, Coach Tressel was actually the first to recruit me because he is in charge of Columbus recruiting. And then once I got on campus, it was more Coach Barnett. But it's been good having them both talking to me and in our ear, and we get to have Coach Tressel, one of the only coaches, you know what I mean, him and Burton coming back, and so that's been good having that camaraderie, you know what I mean. And then we get Coach Barnett back, who, I mean, I didn't get to play for him, but I wanted to bad. Like the first day I got on campus, actually, when I enrolled early, he had went to Florida State, and the funny thing is, he had told me and Kalen Gervin, he said, "This isn't goodbye, it's see you later." And I was like, well, whatever, coach. I ain't gonna see you, you know. But he ended up coming back, so it's funny how things work. So it's been real good having them both great coaches in our ear, and who both were defense coordinators, you know what I mean? So it's been real good.
Next question is from Lindsey Huddleston.
Thank you. Xavier, you kind of mentioned going back to high school and this crazy month. Is there something that you can remember along your sports career that's kind of helped you in your maturity right now, especially dealing with everything that's happening right now? Maybe something the coach used to say to you, a family member that you probably didn't think much about, but it's really something you're holding close to right now?
I would say, I don't know, my high school coach would say a lot. I mean, shoot, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. You know what I mean? And that's kind of been the case in the teeter-totter of if the season was going to happen or not. You know what I mean? So we've been grinding and working even when they told us we weren't going to have a season, as if we were going to in a couple weeks. So it's been good. Now we get a chance to really get on the field, and with these practices we can kind of see who can play and who's going to have to step back when the pads come on. You know what I mean?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next question is from Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Xavier. I don't know I doubt we'll get to see you guys, before the Rutgers game, and I understand it's early, and I understand, you're not going to show your whole hand. But what can you say at this point, just in terms of the similarities and differences between the old defense and what you guys are doing right now? We talked with Coach Henderson earlier, and he even said we're still kind of trying to figure it out as we go. But at this point, how much can you tell us about what's similar and what's different in terms of what you guys will look like?
Yeah. Well, yeah, just like you said, I don't want to show too much of our hand, but I mean, just the core characteristics, the core traits are the same. You know what I mean? We want to be the toughest dudes on the field. We want to be the guys that are running to the ball like no other. You know what I mean? Kenny Willikis was run. You would see him on tape just running to the ball. Joe Bocci, those kind of guys that play tough and hard every single snap. That's who we want to be. We want to be physical, the most physical team on the field. So that's going to stay with us no matter what. That's Spartan football.
And then a second thing, completely changing gears. What have you seen these last 2 years from Jayden Reed? Obviously, we haven't seen him on the field, but he's kind of this unknown quantity for you guys offensively and everything. Just curious your perspective of him.
Man, Jayden's been explosive since he got on campus. And I know you guys are excited to see him, and I'm excited that you guys get to watch him for the first time coming up in Rutgers. So Jayden's a hard-working dude who loves football, and I think he's bringing a little bit of juice to our offense that the fans are wanting to see, and it's going to be exciting. I'm going to be just as excited as you guys are to watch him on game day.
Thank you.
Sir.
Next question is from Jim Comparoni with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, Xavier. Matt Allen was saying that he believes the offensive line has improved. Have you seen signs of that from back at your safety position? Have you noticed that from the offensive line?
I definitely have. I can tell just the other day, I was yesterday in practice actually, I was doing my drill and actually happened to peek over and see them working hard and Coach Cap coaching them real hard. And that's something Coach Tuck has been stressing. Our coaches are coaching so hard because we know the urgency we have to have and the determination we have to improve. And I see it in the offensive line, and I can feel it when they're climbing up to me too. So they're out there and they're excited and they're showing energy, and I can tell that their technique is getting better.
Hey, also, how are those quarterbacks looking? You work against them. They're throwing balls into your area quite a bit. I don't know how much 7-on-7 you're doing or how much scrimmaging or how much you're seeing of those guys. How are the quarterbacks looking, and what did you guys get done today in practice in that regard?
Oh, we see him. We definitely see him a decent amount. We're getting those balls. We're getting those looks from the quarterbacks all the time, and I think they're looking really good. Honestly, I think Rocky's looking pretty good. He's getting that ball out quick, and it's coming hot too. You know what I mean? And he's looking pretty good with his accuracy. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they take pressure. You know what I mean? Especially in the scrimmage situation coming up. I'm looking forward to how they deal with the pressure. But so far, they've been getting the ball out quick, I think, and getting it out accurately. But we all know it's not the same situation when it's a live D-line coming at you. So.
Okay, just and real quickly, just our readers are curious about things like this. What are some things that you guys as a defense or as a team worked on today in practice that maybe you didn't get to in day one? You know, you don't have to give away X's and O's or anything like that, but in terms of progression of practice, what are some things you worked on today?
Well, since we got our pads on, we've been tackling our butts off, and that's important because we didn't get those spring ball reps. And having Coach Tress, who was coaching linebackers, and our linebackers being one of our better groups of the past couple of years, I know for sure we're going to work our butts off on tackling, and that's been a big point. Getting to the ball, you know what I mean. Turnovers are something we need this year, and we want to improve from last year.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We have time for a couple more. We'll go back to Chris Solari, and then we'll wrap it up with Colton Pouncey.
You mentioned by the end of last year, you kind of felt like it was your secondary. Was there a moment during that season where you kind of felt that leadership growing? And I know you've talked about that really since you were a freshman, that you wanted to be that next kind of guy, like a Kari, like a David Dow, like some of those guys. Was there a moment where you felt it?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly. I don't know when, but I remember Raekwon Williams, I'm sorry, Big Ray, on the bus after one of our games towards the end of the season. He said, when you X-Man, you're the X factor. When you play good, we win. And I didn't think much of it at the time. And then I kind of looked, I said, when I was playing confident, we had a better chance of winning. And that kind of stuck with me, really. And I always wanted to go into the games with the highest confidence, even though we had Joe Bocci and Kenny Willikis and Dave and Ray, all those leaders on the team. I felt like I wanted to be part of that leadership too.
As a follow, when Joe was suspended, I mean, there was a void that needed a voice. I mean, did you feel like at that moment you had to kind of step forward and you maybe become the veteran?
I think I wouldn't say I felt like that. I think the whole defense felt like we all needed to step up because that's such a big loss, and we were so hurt. I think I remember crying almost, but it was such a big loss for us, and we all kind of stepped up as a defense. I didn't feel it too much individually because everybody knew the hit we took without Joe. So it was good for our defense to come together like that.
All right, it sounds good. Looks like Colton's question was answered there. So, Xavier, really appreciate you joining us after practice. I know it was a long one, but I know it's getting later at night, but I really appreciate it. Have a good evening, and thanks for everyone for joining the call on a last-minute notice. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Xavier.
Thanks, Xavier.
Thanks, Xavier. Thanks,
Good practice tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
See ya.